Get in the know. Non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Brian Baldinger doesn't just like football, he loves football.
This is what defensive ends should do to tight ends. I don't care what tight end it is. This is what you should do right here. You should put them in a paper shredder and just get rid of them. Little quick jab, little bam, little punch, knock them off bounds. You got to change it up. You get the predator off bounds, and then you dance.
Get the predator off balance. I love it.
Get the predator off balance.
Predators all over the place.
Was that a literally cut from the movie Predator? Because I could see that too.
We got to do that one for Action Movie Rewind on Mackey and Judd. Welcome into the show. This is Purple Daily. Phil Mackey, Judd Zulgad, Declan Goff. And we appreciate you guys who either listen on Apple, Spotify, and ScoreNorth.com, or if you check us out on YouTube, that's awesome too. Click the subscribe button on YouTube and give us a 5-star rating and a positive review on Apple if you could, because those two things help grow the show and spread the word about the show. And if you hate us, I mean, you can tell us that too. You can always tweet at us, at Phil Mackey, at Jay Zulgad, at Dex's tweets, are also on Instagram.
They do.
Yeah. A lot of people wondering, why do you guys spend so much time talking about Kirk Cousins? Well, for one, he is the most important player on the most popular team in the Twin Cities. And so the pie chart of relevance is large. And two, there's a lot of things, even like this report about Jimmy Garoppolo. Oh, the Niners are now good with Jimmy Garoppolo. That's a smokescreen. You think the Niners a month before the league year starts are really sitting there saying, you know what, there's a lot of options out there, but Jimmy G at $27 million.
And that's why
can never stay healthy is our guy.
This is punter week on Purple Daily. The Colquitt years will break down Greg Coleman. We're going to break down. It's punter week. That's all I want to talk about is punters.
And then next week will be left guard week. It's going to be 5 straight days of full meat and potatoes breakdowns of all of the left guards, not only in free agency, but in the draft. All the guys that the Vikings could draft in the 7th round.
And the real question is, can they stop the predator?
To get the predator off balance.
Dakota Dozier, you got to get the predator.
Put the hips up, bam.
So today is a mock draft Monday, and we've got a couple great ones for you guys, powered by our friends at Corona Hard Seltzer. Declan Goff.
Oh, it was the weekend of love, and I didn't want to spend it with anyone else but Corona Hard Seltzer. I have 4 flavors by my side.
Put on some soothing saxophone music.
Some sensual music. Maybe some Nelly with some candlelit, just like Matthew McConaughey did in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Are you the big spoon or the little spoon with your Corona Hard Seltzer?
I'm the big spoon, but sometimes I do like to be the little spoon. I think that's important.
This just took a really weird
You don't have to always be the big spoon because you're a certain person in the relationship. You can both be equal parts spoon. Okay, just want to throw that out there.
It's a little tough. It's a little tough for the Corona Hard Seltzers. They don't have arms, but
sure.
Anyways.
No, and that's why I can just hold all 4. So I'm fine being the big spoon for the Corona Hard Seltzer, the only hard seltzer made with their pure beach vibes with a refreshing splash of fruit flavors such as tropical lime, mango, cherry, and blackberry lime. Corona Hard Seltzer is a tasty spiked sparkling water with a splash of natural fruit flavor that allows you to enjoy the moment. In each can, Corona Hard Seltzer has 0 carbs, 0 sugar, 90 calories, and is gluten-free. Relax responsibly. Corona Hard Seltzer spiked sparkling water with natural flavors, imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois.
I want a mock.
All right, boys. Man, we have a 7-round mock draft from Matt Miller at thedraftscout.com.
Oh, sure. I follow him on Twitter.
This dude is a mocking machine. Never stops,
Is he
never
making trades?
sleeps.
Does Matt make trades?
I don't think there's any trades. At least he doesn't have the Vikings trading with any of these.
Wow.
We'll go through the first round up to the Vikings, then we'll give you all of the other Vikings picks. Whew. And then Declan has a mock that we're going to get to as well.
Okay.
Mock draft Monday, and then we have midweek mocks on Purple Daily, and we are keeping track of all the mocks we go through. We're keeping a running tally of which players are most often popping up in these mocks. We should almost weight it a little bit more toward like the heavy hitter mockers too. Sure. Like if McShay or Kuiper has someone going to the Vikings, all due respect to WalterFootball.com, but I think it should be like a 1.5 weight. Or am I maybe undervaluing
Your guy
WalterFootball.com?
Randy might be upset with that, but yeah, I can understand.
I think we got to throw them all in, man. I think we got to
Okay.
give them all a fair chance to be right about this.
So to this point, Elijah Vera Tucker, the swing offensive lineman from USC, has shown up a couple times. I think both Kuiper and McShay have him in their latest going to the Vikings. And then Christian Barmore, the interior defensive lineman from Alabama, has shown up a couple times too. That's the type of guy that Mike Zimmer would just be banging on Rick's door saying, get me the Alabama defensive lineman. I could see that for sure.
You think he's not right now?
Probably is.
It's going on right now in Egan.
Just a steady knocking on the door.
I can hear it from here.
He just isn't stopping until Rick opens up the door.
Rick, you there? Rick, you there? Rick, you up? Rick, you there?
You up? You up? No, Mike, I'm not. Jamar Chase, we've seen Kwity Paye, the edge rusher from Michigan. My linebacker from Notre Dame, we're going to call him JOK for the purposes of not butchering the pronunciation. And then today's mocks we will add to this list. Let's just start with the top of the first round here of this 7-round mock from Matt Miller. This is his 1.0 mock.
Love it.
This is the
so we're on the ground floor.
Yep. This is the first 7-round mock, I should say. All right.
That's fine.
So he's got the Jaguars taking Trevor Lawrence. He's got the Jets taking the BYU kid, Zach Wilson. He's got Jamar Chase going to the Dolphins, which makes a lot of sense, regardless of who their quarterback is. Kyle Pitts, a tight end from Florida, going to the Falcons at 4. See a lot of quarterback steam at 4 for the Falcons. Penei Sewell, the offensive tackle from Oregon, going 5 to Cincinnati, which makes sense. Get your quarterback, get your tackle, go forward. Devontae Smith, wide receiver, Alabama, to the Eagles at 6. Jalen Waddle, the other wide receiver, to the Lions at 7. Justin Fields to the Panthers at 8. I'm going to skip here, looking for quarterbacks. Trey Lance going 12th to the San Francisco 49ers.
Okay.
And that brings us to the Minnesota Vikings at 14, according to Matt Miller, thedraftscout.com. Offensive tackle Christian Darrisaw from Virginia Tech. Gonna guess you guys haven't watched a ton of Virginia Tech film.
Do you have
how would you feel about an offensive tackle named Christian Darrisaw from Virginia Tech?
Okay. Is he...
Here's the analysis.
A left tackle? Oh, okay, yeah.
What's his feet?
Thank you very much.
Here it is.
I would appreciate the analysis first.
The Vikings hold steady and find a top-tier left tackle prospect on the board. The perfect pick for their scheme, given his athleticism and upside. Darrisaw didn't opt out of the 2020 season and saw his stock rise from potential second-rounder to a top 20 player. He's agile, smooth in pass protection, and has the length to handle the edge. He's also a balanced, poised player whose awareness was notable on tape. Pairing him with Brian O'Neill on the other side gives Minnesota a legit pair of bookend tackles who can keep the passing game flowing and boost the ground game. Checking off your biggest need at a premium position without having to surrender draft capital is also an ideal situation. So here's my 2 cents on this. We're going to know pretty soon, like within the next 3 weeks, what happens with Riley Reif. If they keep Riley Reif, it'll be a restructured 2-year contract, almost certainly, right?
Yes.
Because they're going to want to lower his cap number for this year, and it's going to essentially be a 2-year contract, taking Riley Reif into his age 33 and 34 seasons. It doesn't mean that they aren't still looking for a left tackle of the future, but I think if they keep Riley Reif, it makes it a lot less likely that they would pick Christian Darrisaw from Virginia Tech with really their only top 60 pick at this point.
Yes, that sounds completely fair. Yep. If they are going to, so I think what they basically are trying to do now, and they probably helped their cause by kicking in that bonus to Reif last week, was to determine if he is going to give them a discount, and he might not, because, before they started last year, they basically went to him and said, you're screwed. So all that being said, I think you're probably right. So if they're going to keep Reif and restructure him, they're not going to take a left tackle first round.
Yeah.
If he's going to walk, though, now you potentially got your left tackle of the future. You're set at right tackle for now, although he's going to need an extension here soon.
Yeah.
And then Ezra Cleveland can stay at right guard. And so the question is left guard. But yeah, I could see that. But my sense is that they're going to work pretty hard to try and keep Reif restructured, because the amount of needs and the pressure to win now are going to cause them to probably, just a guess, go defense first round.
Yeah, I think the other thing in play here is they just gave Riley Reif a $1 million, like, hey, we feel bad about everything last year bonus.
Totally screwed you. Don't remember that. Remember this $1 million gift.
So do they give him that $1 million? Like, I feel like that $1 million is sort of a precursor to let's work something out for a 2-year deal.
Yeah.
Or it could be we feel bad and we're probably going to cut you to save $11 to $12 million to the cap.
No.
So here's your party gift.
No.
Because that money counts for this upcoming year's
No,
cap.
I think that was definitely a first step to try and repair probably what was a fractured relationship.
Yeah.
No, I think you're probably right. I think that they are definitely going to try now and get his contract down, keep him, and then address defensive end, right? Or the 3 tech.
And then one more thought on this, because this is a really interesting scenario. And if they were to draft like the USC offensive lineman that we've seen pop up a couple times,
sure.
Elijah Vera Tucker, he can play guard. So that seems to make more sense as a first round pick because he could solve an immediate need at left guard.
Mm-hmm.
Darrisaw is a tackle. And now could they start him at left guard and then move him out after a couple of years? I mean, the Vikings do that sort of thing. So it wouldn't be entirely shocking, but he's much more of a solidified tackle, it sounds like, than Tucker is. So long term, if you were just to say, all right, over the next 3 to 5 years, what's the best thing you can do? I would say, well, find a franchise left tackle. Like Riley Reif is 32, right?
Right.
But I feel like the Vikings are in position of need in the now window more than they have been in the last 10 drafts, where it's like they have very specific needs if they want to push this thing back toward contendership in 2021.
Yeah.
And drafting a guy that might sit behind Riley Reif doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So are they in a position where they're not going to take best player available?
I feel like this is a lot like the draft when they took Bradbury with their first pick as well, though, because that was a definite reach of need. But yeah, when the pressure on Rick and Mike is pretty big. So I don't think that they're going to say, yeah, we might be fired, but it'd be sure nice to have a left tackle in place long-term here. I think that you're right. I think that they are going. I think the first pick is going to address an immediate need right now. And my guess is, and this is not the smartest thing, but my guess is it's going to come down to the coach again saying, guys, my forte is defense. My forte is defense, and I need more. And he does on defense.
All right. Well, don't worry, Zim. Let's get to the third round here. According to the draftscout.com.
Yep.
The Vikings have 2 third-round picks, and with those picks, they will take USC safety Talanoa Hufanga, and then they will take defensive lineman Tyler Shelvin from LSU. So they'll pick defense with their next 2.
Okay.
3 fourth-round picks, starting with offensive guard Deontay Smith from East Carolina.
Offensive guard, okay.
And then 2 cornerbacks, Kerry Vincent Jr. from LSU. I love just drafting all the LSU players you possibly can here.
Sure.
And then cornerback Marco Wilson from Florida. So you would have 4 defensive players in your next 5 picks after you take an offensive lineman in the first round, which seems like if you go offense in the first round, you will then have to appease Mike Zimmer by taking 9 defensive players. The rest of it, right?
Yeah, of course.
Then we get to the 5th round, wide receiver Cade Johnson from South Dakota State, quarterback David Mills from Stanford with your second 5th round pick. And then you have 1 6th and 1 7th in which you'll take a running back, Ram Stevenson from Oklahoma, and edge rusher, Taron Jackson from Coastal Carolina.
I want a mock.
All right. So, interesting. A lot of defense
and you need
in the
defense
picks afterwards.
Yeah.
And of course, you know me, I love taking flyers on 5th, 6th, and 7th round quarterbacks that you can just stash on your practice squad. That's the Viking style. Every once in a while, you whiff on a Christian Ponder.
Can never have enough.
So, all right. So if that happens, I think it would mean that Riley Reif is not on your team, and you would go for this. But Declan has an NFL.com. Is it our guy Chad Reuter? You said,
yeah, Reuter. Chad Reuter of NFL.com.
Right, take the reins, baby. Let's do this.
Juicy. Okay, so he has trades involved.
Yes.
He has trades. So with the first pick, the Vikings make a trade with Washington. Now, he doesn't specify what the trade is. He just said it's just a trade. There's a trade that has taken place.
Come on, Reuter.
For sure. So with the first round, the Vikings actually go down 5 spots from 14 to 19. And they take a defensive end, Jalen Phillips.
Okay.
Jalen Phillips would be their first pick at 19 overall. He is a defensive end from Cal.
Mike's so happy right now.
Oh, yeah. Well, and with this pick, I mean, you can put 2 and 2 together, too. Like, the Vikings get a second-round pick in return. So right now the Vikings don't have a second round pick because of the unique Ngakoue trade. So in this situation, you get the 19th overall pick in Jalen Phillips.
Jalen Phillips is the Miami kid, right?
Yes, Miami. I said Cal. My bad.
Yeah, he had 8 sacks for Miami and 15 and a half TFLs.
Yes.
He's a transfer from UCLA.
Got it.
Yeah.
So he was at Cal, then at Miami, but at defensive end, at definitely a position need. So now with your second round pick, the Vikings are now selecting at 51st overall. With that trade from Washington, the Vikings select Andre Cisco, a safety. So Vikings looking for a safety for the first 2 picks off the board. They have a defensive end. Now they have a safety. Andre Cisco, a safety, would be a possible. I know Judd doesn't want them to take a safety possibly early, but he could fill the shoes of Anthony Harrison and maybe even Harrison Smith down the road. So not a bad trade. Not a bad trade.
Jalen Phillips, by the way, is 6'5", 270 pounds.
That is
holy crap.
That is a big boy.
That dude is a machine. Yeah.
Now in the third round, it gets interesting. The Vikings have 3 third-round picks in this situation. They have 78, they have 90, and they have 97 for projected comp pick. I don't know if that would be Riley Reif leaving, Judd. I don't know what the comp pick could possibly be.
The comp would be from the previous year.
From the previous year?
Yep.
Got it. So they have 3 picks from 78
it would be from
to
like
97.
like Trey Waynes or something. I can't remember what the comps were, but like if Riley Reif leaves, you get a comp pick for 2022.
No, you
work.
don't, because he's cut.
That's a good point. If he leaves in free agency after his contract,
if
you're
his
right.
contract expires, that's where
so
comp picks come
Anthony Harris, would you
he'll
get a comp
get
pick?
your comp pick.
Yep. Okay.
But it might be a 4th round comp pick now instead of a 3rd round because he was not good last season.
Exactly.
All right, so with the 78th overall pick, the Vikings in the 3rd round take quarterback Kyle Trask out of the University of Florida, a quarterback off the board for the Vikings.
Oh, boy. What do we think about this?
See, all right. It's I feel like his stock has fallen quite a bit.
He had great weapons.
Great weapons.
He had fantastic weapons.
This is why a lot of times people wonder, like, why don't quarterbacks from Ohio State and Alabama ever pan out in the NFL? Because they're playing with such better weapons and offensive lines and generally coaches and everything. That
tight end at Florida was a stud.
Yeah. All right. So in general, I think the question here is, how would you feel about the Vikings taking a stab at a quarterback in this draft, but with one of their top picks, right? Because they've got...
Yeah, but a 3rd round pick would be incredibly fair, right?
It's fair, but it's also not helping you win now.
That's true.
I think here's my take on this. If you're going to draft a quarterback, just draft, go get a guy, unless you don't think there's a guy in the first. If you think all those guys are overrated, okay, that's cool. And you think Kyle Trask is just a hidden gem sitting there, and you've got Clint Kubiak's going to mold him behind the scenes.
Can be, can sit for what, a year and develop maybe.
But if you only have what was the trade again? Did Vikings wind up with a 1st and 2/3 still, or what did they wind up with?
They wound up with a 1st and a 2nd. So they wound up with the 19th overall pick and the 51st overall pick.
And then 1/3 for 2/3.
They have technically 3/3. So they have 2, I believe, that they own right now, and then a projected comp pick at 97.
Okay.
So 3.
They must have given up quite a bit to get these things.
Right.
NFL.com. But I think if you're looking at what resources do you have to win this season, you got a 1st and you got 2/3. And in this scenario, they traded for a 2nd. But right now you have a 1st and 2/3. Mm-hmm. If you use one of those 3rd round picks on a quarterback, then you only have, because he's not going to play this year, then you only have a 1st and a 3rd and maybe some free agency money to help take a 7-9 team back to a contender. It's almost a philosophical thing. If you're going to draft a quarterback in the first 3 rounds, you're committing to a 3 or 5 year window. So, pick one or the other is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm oversimplifying it.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that Trask intrigues me, but I think he's definitely going to be gone 3rd round. He's not a 1st round pick, and I don't think he's a 2nd. He might be. But I think if you got him in the 3rd round and you've got 3 3rd round picks, that does intrigue me. And I do like the fact, I like the idea of doing something to build for your future as opposed to these win now picks, which I get in the 1st round. After that, it's a crapshoot though, right?
Yeah.
It's a real crapshoot.
Yeah. The other thing too, that throughout the entire Kirk Cousins era to this point, his backup quarterbacks have been just guys, right?
Well, no threat to him.
Yep.
Because I don't think he likes threats.
Sean Mannion, just random dudes. The minute you draft Kyle Trask, think about if the Kyle Trask equivalent, let's say it was a 2nd or 3rd round pick,
Mhm.
If that dude was on your roster when the Vikings were 1-5 and Kirk led the league in interceptions,
we'd be calling for him. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Take that, Kirk.
Fans, like, it became easier to just sort of ride it out with Kirk because you didn't have an actual logical. It wasn't like the Eagles. If the Eagles had Sean Mannion as a backup, they would have just grinded through it with Carson Wentz. But they had a second-round pick, a mobile guy in Jalen Hurts, with some big-time success in college, and people wanted to see the shiny toy.
I like this more now.
You put a shiny toy on the roster.
I like this more now, though. I love that. Kirk, there's pressure. There's a guy. There's an actual player behind you.
How would it impact Kirk?
He won't like it. Who cares?
Well, if he's your franchise quarterback and he doesn't like it, then
he's not my franchise quarterback. He might be yours, not mine.
He's my guy.
He might not. He might be yours. He's not mine. I love the idea of it not being some slappy backup QB. He's slappy. Sean Mannion's a slappy.
He is.
It's very
Trevor Siemian was the same as he's a slappy.
It's very risky, I think, to not have someone who's a developmental guy, right? Yeah. Especially when you don't have,
especially because you're trying to coddle your quarterback. You are. Kirk doesn't like this. Who cares?
I actually have a Kirk question for you here in a second.
All right,
since we went down this path.
So finishing out this 3-round mock too, by the way, there's just 2 more.
That's right. Oh, sorry.
So at pick 90, the Vikings select Trey Smith in offensive guard. So with the 3rd round selection, they go with Trey Smith. They finally bolster the offensive line, but they wait until pick 90 to do so.
The Vikings have had some great success recently with 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th round guards. So,
Willie Beavers?
Keep it up.
You want a little Willie Beavers recall? 4th round
pick?
What
was Dozier? Like a 5th round pick?
I think so.
4th or 5th round pick?
Trey Smith out of Tennessee.
Not gonna work here anymore.
Out of the University of Tennessee.
All right.
Chip Scoggins guy.
And then,
so Jalen Phillips is the first. Oh, are you?
We got one more.
Oh, sorry.
You still got one more.
Go.
You want to keep going?
It's your show. Do whatever you want.
Show. But last one at 97, the comp pick would be Aleem McNeil, a defensive tackle. So to wrap up what Chad Reuter had here, the Vikings will take 5 players in their first 3 rounds. So Jalen Phillips at 19, Andre Sisco, a safety at 51, Kyle Trask, quarterback at 78, Trey Smith, an offensive guard at 90, and then Aleem McNeil, a defensive tackle at 90.
So interesting. That would be a really, really interesting thing to happen. I'm still wondering how they picked up the extra 2nd and 3rd rounders, and would they have to give up there too?
Right.
But it's okay.
That's okay.
In Mocking World, you don't even have to explain that. You can just say trade.
It's a fascinating world.
So it
really is.
So they went in the 1st round from 14 to 19. Is that correct?
Correct.
It's a pretty good job. Okay.
All right. So that's your 2nd mock session here today. Powered also by Federated Mutual Insurance Company. If you're a business owner who also loves the purple, then this is a pretty good intersection for you to be at, this Federated Mutual Insurance Company intersection. They recently launched My Shield, the online client destination for risk management resources. Think about how helpful it would be for you to have employee training at your fingertips, industry resources that can help your business reach another level of success. Think about the things that could involve risk at your company. Do your employees use company vehicles, ladders, etc.? Well, you want to make sure that you have risk management systems in place and training systems in place, and that's where Federated helps you out. Federatedinsurance.com or download the app. And remember, at Federated, it's our business to protect yours. Okay, on Kirk. Thank you to everybody who made the Saturday Kirk Cousins Rumor Roundup episode the most consumed episode of Purple Daily so far in the month and a half of 2021. So we appreciate it. What percentage chance for all of us here? Mm-hmm. Now that I think we should ask this like once a week, just to get a gauge on it. What percentage chance right now, based on everything you've sort of consumed the last couple of weeks, do you think Kirk Cousins actually gets traded in the next month and a half or so?
The percentage chance today, as we speak about this, as we try and
how much smoke, how much fire,
the reckless speculation. I think right now the intent of the Vikings would be about 5%. It's very small. It's very small right now. But again, if you get the right call and you get the right haul, everybody is available. But I don't think the Vikings are instigating this. I think this definitely comes from a position of what the market is going to do and what teams are going to get and what the Rams and Lions did. So I think right now it's small, though. I think it's 5%.
See, I think it's higher. I don't think it's like 50, but I think it's like 15. maybe 20.
That's where I'm at too.
Okay, so Dex and I are in agreement.
15.
And I say that because you like your logic is, listen, if the right call comes along and the haul is there, I think the haul is there. Maybe it's not the 8th pick. Maybe Carolina only wanted Matthew Stafford for the 8th pick. But if we're talking like a 2nd round pick and a 4th or something, something that would actually, okay, you'd actually be getting some meaningful draft capital and get out from underneath what is eventually going to be a $45 million cap hit for 2022. There are more good quarterbacks available than teams that are looking to trade. This is a seller's market, really. I mean, like right now, there's probably a list of 8 or 9 quarterbacks that could be available. Deshaun Watson, Sam Darnold, Kirk Cousins, right?
Yeah.
But I think in terms of guys who change the outlook of a team for San Francisco or for the Colts, Kirk is on that list. Kirk's on the list for San Francisco because he's an upgrade over Jimmy Garoppolo. And so for San Francisco, they're looking over and they see, okay, who are the quarterbacks available right now that Matthew Stafford's gone, that could actually move the needle for us? Kirk does it. Deshaun does it. Maybe there's another guy out there I'm not thinking of. And so you could, I think you could really leverage your standing right now in this discussion to make something happen. And I think it's on the Vikings. I think it's the Vikings that are sitting there thinking, boy, continuity and Clint Kubiak, et cetera. What do you think, Dex? You said 15 to 20%.
I said 15 to 20. I think it's 15% because I just think everything is so reckless right now. And look, I think Carson Wentz over the weekend, it was reported a 2nd round, I believe, was offered for him from what the rumor mill said. And Philly still is seeking the 1st. I mean, at this point, I think as time goes on, I think it's gonna hurt his value. So like if you can get a 2nd, and let's just say it's a 2nd and a 3rd for Carson Wentz or whatever the hell it is, I think you have to pounce on that right away. So the fact though that other quarterbacks are being mentioned, I think it goes up to 15%. It's 85% chance that he still stays here, obviously. But I think it's 15. I think it's legit 15%.
So I think the Vikings wouldn't trade Kirk without a 1st round pick coming back. I don't think they trade him for a 2nd and 3rd. I think it has to be a 1st. And I do think that the Wentz dynamic here is intriguing because I don't think that the market is set yet. I think the Stafford Goff trade started to set the market, but I think that there's still some question, and I think it's still in flux. And so if the Wentz trade goes through, if Philly gets that up to a 1st round pick, I think it's on. I think it could be intriguing. But again, I don't put the Vikings odds at a great point because I think that the 3 of us and lots of fans would definitely shop Kirk. I don't sense that the Vikings are going to or will, but I do think that they are getting at least phone calls. And that's where you create the dynamic of if a guy like Wentz, if the price goes up as we get into March, then I think that there is a real possibility that at least the offer is so good that the Vikings have to give it consideration.
Yeah. I would be shocked if the Eagles get a 1st round pick for Wentz just because of that contract and how bad he was.
Yep.
But some team could look and say, listen, he was an MVP candidate 3 years ago and he just needs to change the scenery and we can be the change of scenery. And we're desperate. The Bears are so desperate that they could view him as a 10-year franchise quarterback that's worth a 1st round pick. But if he gets a 1st round pick, it guarantees that Kirk Cousins is worth a 1st round pick. Because right now the argument is, well, Matthew Stafford's contract was a lot more team friendly than Kirk's is.
Right.
Therefore, teams are more willing to give up a 1st round pick. And it seems like a lot of teams just view Matthew Stafford as more of a gamer. And even though he's never won a playoff game, like they view him as maybe a step above Kirk Cousins. But the minute that Carson Wentz gets a 1st round pick, the contract argument goes out the window. And you could even argue just in terms of like if the contracts were equal, Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback, even though Carson Wentz is younger. And
there's
more
a definite shift then. Yes.
Yep. So maybe that's the domino. And then that probably falls this week. It sounds like they want to trade him this week, according to like the Adam Schefters of the world.
Yeah, and I don't know that they get a 1st round pick. I just don't know about that. The Vikings too, I think at this point are really wedded to the idea that, we went with Clint Kubiak, right? And he's worked with Kirk and we can win now. Unfortunately, I don't think the Vikings are probably as open to the future because of the pressure on the GM and coach as we are. And so that could impact things too. But I think that this market for quarterbacks right now is among the most intriguing that we have ever seen. And I think it would be foolish not to at least take a step back and consider your options here, because this is not going to be an occurrence that takes place every year. This is going to be like a once in 10 year just potential free for all on quarterbacks being out there.
Yep.
and potentially being traded for.
It's a crazy musical chairs
Crazy
game
league.
for sure. It's a crazy league.
Crazy league. You can figure it out.
Thanks for hanging out with us on this episode of Purple Daily. We will see you guys. We've got how to fix the Vikings and all kinds of other free agency related topics to get to as the week goes by here. So we're excited to dive into to this off season with the league year 1 month away from this week. 1 month from now, we will be in the legal tampering window, everybody.
Oh, I can't wait for those shows.
Very exciting.
You think there'll be some reckless speculation on those shows? Just a little bit?
Yes, indeed. All right, Judd, Phil, Declan, we'll see you guys tomorrow.